Hi, Paul Howe, CSAT way, pistol, red dot sights, transition, and focus. So I went down a rabbit hole. So I want to talk to you folks about it and let you make your own decision. Now, the goals, we want to get people ready for the street, whether it be civilian, law enforcement, or mill. And you got to figure out, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the time, effort? And that'll be up to you. So I like to analyze versus succumbing to peer pressure or the industry pressure. Now, history, we can go back in history and saw a lot of these techniques taught. So everything from point shooting, which works short distance, low hit probability at multiple distances. I've had officers that were in a shooting situation, became a firearm instructor, and when he actually trained new people, took the sights off the handguns for 2,000 to 3,000 rounds. And so it's a hit and miss. It's not consistent. So we've evolved to sighted fire, front sight focus. And we'll get into the dots. But sighted fire works short to long distance. It's one system. Sight alignment is more for giving up close. And you'll hear me say that a couple times because we'll talk about the emitters and the train up. I think it's faster. I'm going to give you some case histories that are ongoing right now as far as the red dots, target focus. To me, it's slower to learn. Requires more precision, high volume training, technology driven. No problem with that. I embrace technology when it helps me. So if you are going to go to the red dots, a phase training is what we suggest. So dry fire with limited live fire, determine grip pressure. And we'll get into that more specifically. The sight dot focused, limited time and resources. If you don't have a lot of range time, to me it's better to see the front sight or the dot versus the target focus. But we'll have to talk about that and discuss it because right now I have agencies doing the target focus, but they have unlimited time and resources. And what's unlimited? Well, great agency up the Metroplex, Fort Worth PD. Great training staff, professional. And so what they're doing is they have their own internal academy and they start, get a hold of them and they'll show them how to dry fire and give them a limited live fire class. And what that limited live fire class shows them how to do is how hard to grip the pistol. So they don't do a lot of shooting up front. What they do, I think it's 3 to 6 mags, but maybe a 5-in-1 drill, 5 dry fire, 1 live, 5 dry fire, 1 live. Show them how hard to grip the pistol. And then they get them dry firing. And so a lot of it is index with the red dot. So their academy, I want to say 2.5 weeks of firearms, which is huge. Most academies are 40 hours. So they're running 80 plus hours, 7,000 to 8,000 rounds. And so I know a lot of folks can't fathom that much ammo, but it's great stuff. And they're covering all the ramifications there. So put it in terms, they're getting 6 2-day classes or 16-hour classes, plus the dry fire to get them street ready. So that's huge. My compliments to them. Now, reality check. Old shooters. When you're taking an old shooter, front sight focus, over 3,000 to 5,000 rounds is what I'm getting from people I trust out there. So 2 months to a year to get consistent and switch over to this new system. Okay. Like we said, is it worth the time and effort? I'll let you be the judge of that. Now, common aspects. I go back and I watch for at least a year, maybe 2 years of what the competition guys are putting out, and I review it, analyze it. Okay, I understand it. So if we break it down into common aspects, so you discriminate. We've all had to discriminate. You pick a spot on a target. We've done that before. They're putting a pasty on a target. The hyper focus has been around for a long time. So we push out and we either stay target focused or we do front sight focus. So we've got 2 different systems right now. So on the red dot focus, what I see is it's more training time. They have to be very precise. And we'll talk about that because this emitter encloses and it has to be perfectly aligned. Now my iron sights, I can drop my front sight in. So I can see my whole optical system with irons. To me, it's more forgiving and not sloppy, but I can adjust for a lot of different factors there. And then psychology of the shot. Nobody talks to you about that. So we're going to talk about that. Now, Precision, up close, personal. Do you want to have to be really precise, or do you want to have a little bit of, I don't want to say slop, but flexibility? So when I say flexibility, we know people can train, and we have the meat eaters out there and the competition, and they're going to train. The reality is how much, how long, and what is your maintenance training? With the iron sights, and I set up and I push, I have a little bit higher, high ready, and I drop my front sight into my rear. That's what I've been doing. I like it. My eye goes from target bad to this. Now, with the emitter, what happens is when you push out, you have to change this attitude right here to more in line to when you push out, it's there. That's going to take a lot of reps, a lot of maintenance training. So, things to think about. In distance, more precision. Well, and we'll talk about how much. Of course, splash up a couple pictures. Glock 26, one with irons, one with optics. You can look at the groups, 50 yards. So, is it a big difference? A little bit. The red dot will shoot tighter because it's a finer point. So these are things we need to look at, and then what are your target engagement distances? So front sight to me more for giving up close. A distance requires more precision. So do I fix the gun or do I fix my eyes? And those are the questions you have to answer down the road. So psychology of the shot. Nobody talks about this. In old school, new school, target focus. So we stay focused on the target, superimpose the dot. So I transition back to my front sight. And the rationale is this: once I throw the switch and I turn it off, I don't go back and forth. I do one time back to my front sight, and then the target is blurry, and I make my shot. There is not a lot of back and forth. I'm also drawing a mental curtain. And what that mental curtain is, you are no longer a human being. You are simply a target. And I hit that point, look at it, that's where I want to hit, I service that point. To me, it's less for your brain to process. Now, I take away the humanity. You're no longer a human being, you're just a target. You're a spot I've got to hit. And then I go back to the big picture, we'll call it the soft focus versus hard focus. Now, watching all the input with your red dot in target focus, bombs bursting, bullets flying, people dying, has been quoted before. Do I want to absorb all the information, or do I want to shrink it down? I shrink it down, and it works. So you have to figure out what your brain can process. It needs to go from flat range to live fire to what we call it shoot houses, but also people. People are going to add another factor. So again, can you do it with sims? Yes. And see how the sim hits are. Now, I love the red dot sights for trigger control. It's huge. And I'd almost have a second set of guns just to work triggers and then put them back on irons. That's an option too. Now, it's changing your presentation. That's what's going to usually take the longest. And the dot is either going to be there or it's not. But you're going to have to put the reps in, or the officer, or the mill, the civilian, so that dot's there every time. That is really important. At distance, oh yeah, it's easy. You can shrink that dot down. So sometimes you have to take your hand off the weapon to do it. Now, we're seeing some failures out there. We do big classes, a lot more red dots. We're also seeing a lot of officers having to take their hand off and adjust their dot. So they're not familiar with the dot, or the dot is not good for different light conditions. What do you mean different light? Our ranges, sun comes up, hits you in the eye. So we have a lot of different light changes as it goes throughout the day. That sight system has to work, sun coming up all the way till it's hit me in the back. If it's not, something to think about, because we're seeing officers taking their hand off to adjust dots. And that was an old problem with the rifles. Something to think about. Case histories, they're starting to collect data. So how many case histories, we're not hearing about it. The thing is, if you don't put in the time, you're not going to find a dot. As simple as it is. Now, sight focus, it's worked. It's been working. So I don't have a problem with it. I have one case history. One officer engaged in 3 different shootings. Total of 5 rounds fired and 3 dead bad guys. So 2 of them were one-shot stops. And that was sighted fire. So he didn't have the red dots at the time. So it works. And so you'll have to make a decision on this. And again, I go back to it. The competition industry, they're going to push everything to you. New products, that's what they do. The whole industry, they selling stuff all, across the spectrum. They're letting you be the test dummy. We found it out with the SIG, P320. Again, but it failed on the customers. Not a good thing. It should fail somewhere else before it gets to the customers. So they're going to sell classes and equipment. And how many classes will it take, or how much training time to get up to a level where you feel comfortable to save your own life? So don't fall victim to that mentality. If I don't have the latest, greatest gadget, widget, that I'm going to die. You're not. It's your training. You are the variable. So competition shooters know competition, not combat. So it's okay. Special ops brings them in. They pull nuggets here. They don't pull whole programs. What they'll do is say, show us this, show us that, show us your where, so to speak. And then and then the mature guys come in and they look at all the data and say, we want to change this, not change this, or that's okay, but you can do either or. So all the civilian knows is that instructor taught these guys. Well, that's nice. We've had instructors that were one-hit wonders. They came in one time and go, don't bring them back. So the tactical folks must validate it on the range. And you can go to shoot houses, they can go to simunitions with people, but you've got to work through all the different the variables out there. Now, the sad truth, if you took that 8,000 rounds and you just did iron sights, what happens is those folks would be really good, really good. So this new technique, that's what it's taken that these guys are seeing to get them operational for the street. So get ready to put that much into it, if you're a new shooter. Now, if agencies just practice with what they had and dry fire and officers did that, they'd be fine. But again, it's that concept of we've got to have the latest, greatest. So human nature is to drift to flashy without understanding what it really takes to master. That's huge. Me, I don't have a fear factor. I've used irons before. They work just fine. I've been in the mix, and I understand I am the variable to the whole equation and not the equipment. So it is what it is. You can chase the latest, greatest, but make sure you're proficient with it. Final points. Evaluate the training time it takes to see that front sight, make your first shot. First shot's critical. So iron sights, optic. If your agency is going to adopt them, make sure you allocate the ammo, allocate the training time, and then the maintenance time. So the first shot is either going to solve the problem or it's going to create more chaos. It's up to you. So I hope this helps. Good luck with your choice. You take care and be safe. All right, Paul Howe, CSAT Way. If you like our videos, we have a Mighty Network webpage and over 400 and probably 60 to 70 videos on it right now. Everything from operator level to instructor level. So if you want to continue your training and you can't make it to the range, this site is available. Hope you like it. Give us feedback because we're always trying to make it a little better. It's organized, structured, just like we'd run a shooting course. So appreciate you guys watching. You take care, be safe. Hope to catch you on the range or in a class.